Hello and welcome to the Empowered Hormone Podcast, where we pull apart all those taboo topics: periods, parasites, poos, hormones and more. Let's question everything you've been taught about your body. I'm your host, Sheradyn Dekker, a gin-loving gut health nerd passionate about debunking myths on birth control, period pain and IBS. If you struggle with bloating or your period is less than pretty, then join me as we chat about everything relating to gut and hormone health. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Hormones Podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here. I always say that and I always mean that. It's coming towards the end of the year, which is crazy. What are we? I'm recording this on the 11th of December, so it'll probably come out this week. But yeah, I can't believe it's the start of December already, and to think that we are chatting today about navigating your SIBO, so your small intestinal bacteria overgrowths, your yeast overgrowths, your parasites, your bacterias, and the festive season, because I hate to kind of lump the festive season together like it's different than any other time of the year, but it actually really can be, because normally you'd sort of be negotiating potentially like a birthday or a wedding or a hens or a one-off kind of random event that you don't feel so overwhelmed that it's really going to disrupt your protocol. Whereas opposed to when I say the festive season, I'm kind of talking about holidays in general. Sometimes there's Christmas parties thrown in there. Sometimes there's family events thrown in there. Sometimes if you are on holidays, you're eating out more, or you're camping, or you're doing different things. So you're really trying to negotiate your supplement load, and if you're traveling or going away. And then on top of that, you're trying to negotiate sort of food-wise what's going on, what you should be doing, and how to stay with the path, not fall off the path, not take a different path, not turn around on the path, but to continue on that path without feeling like you're super restricted and you can't enjoy yourself. But at the same time, not feel like you're battling symptoms, because this is the thing, right? Like when women come into the root cause program. So if you don't know what the root cause program is, that's my signature program that I take women through over 6 months, where we run functional testing. So that might be adrenal work, that might be hormone work, that might be stool testing, that might be SIBO testing. So it's going to be a range of different things. Now, over 6 months, we go through a process of doing testing and sort of treating either what infections are going on in the gut, whether it's SIBO, whether it's yeast, whether it's leaky gut. On top of that, layering on our hormone, our adrenal supportive work as well. So we're covering multiple areas here. This is why I allow 6 months for at a minimum, because you're going to need probably more like a couple years to actually work on your health, but a couple months to see there's real solid changes. And then you sort of go on to this rebuild and repair protocol where we can look at adding in polyphenols and antioxidant rich foods and prebiotic fibers and all that jazz, all that fun stuff, the kombuchas, right? But yeah, you've got to do the groundwork first. You've got to treat those infections that are in the gut first. So when someone's on these protocols, the first starting point we're doing is addressing diet. We're adding in those nutrient-dense foods, and then we're starting to remove trigger foods that may cause symptoms from things like oxalates, histamines, salicylates, and then fermentable fibers. So we're just trying to downplay any reactions so that you can actually function and feel good. Because if you're bloated and constipated and have loose stools and have stomach pain every single day, your what I would call quota, so your ability to function is limited, right? Because you're in pain and you've already got this sort of bandwidth as to what you can take on. As your symptoms improve and your energy improves and you feel better, your bandwidth expands and you can take more stuff on, and you might start tracking or aiming for a higher protein intake or pushing your workouts a little bit more. You may not be healed yet, but you've definitely progressed, and then we can start to sort of go down these different rabbit holes of things. So our initial starting point is like, hey, let's get you out of fight or flight, and let's sort of make a bit of progress initially, and then come in and treat these bacterias, or, you know, look at the histamine interrelation, or look at the adrenals or thyroids or all those other bits and pieces. That was a really long way of saying there's an 80-20 rule, which is probably the take-home point of this podcast. So goodbye, you can leave now. No, I'm kidding, please don't. There's an 80-20 rule, right? So I always say to my clients, give yourself a 20% allowance because it's not going to undo all your hard work. That's not how it works necessarily. It may just cause you symptoms, a little bit more inflammation, and make you a bit more, your gut a bit more aggravated, and maybe flare up some of your other skin symptoms or things as well. So if you allow yourself a little bit of room to breathe for social events, for going out, but try and make as many good choices as possible, you're going to be in a way better position. So what that might mean is if you're drinking alcohol, it might mean picking something that's less fermentable, okay? So rather than having a sweet bubbly wine, which is loaded with sugar, you might have a small glass of red wine, or you might just have a gin with a bit of soda water. So you don't necessarily have to cut the thing for this event if that doesn't feel right for you, but you can still have it to some degree. It's like when people go, do I have to cut caffeine? And they're having 2 or 3 coffees a day. And I'm like, well, I mean, it might help in certain situations, but you don't have to go full cold turkey on it and then you miss it for 2 or 3 weeks and then you revert right back. I would rather you go to, hey, you know what? I'm going to have 1 shot a day, or I'm going to have like 2 shots split over my day so that the caffeine impact isn't so much, and my body has more time to metabolize it around food and fats and other things as well. So it's about making it work for your lifestyle, for your life, and making it sustainable, because the biggest issue I have is when women go all in and then it becomes too much and they've lost everything. So they've lost, all their sugars or their foods they like, or, maybe we're cutting higher mold foods like peanut butter, so they're losing like their cacaos and their peanut butters and their coffee and their alcohol and everything. And then they're like, this sucks. And it does suck. And I hear you. Okay, so if we do it achievably and sustainably, it's not so bad, and we can make it work, and we can add things in that you do like. Go, okay, cool. Maybe let's not have this right now, but this is our other option. So that's one example with alcohol. We do know, things like wine is slightly higher in histamines. So sort of understanding if you're reacting to histamines, maybe this is not a good option. But also understanding that alcohol does deplete B vitamins and electrolytes. So if you are going to drink, we do kind of like to go, okay, how can we balance this out? So eating before you're drinking, and having enough protein prior to drinking is really, really important as well. Drinking mineral water between your drinks, having your adrenal cocktail, which has got your orange juice or a bit of your coconut water and salt in it. Having your beef liver and your B supplements can be really, really helpful. So all these things that help you sort of metabolize the alcohol and support your liver a bit better. So that's what I would say around drinking. When it comes to food, similar principles. Go in with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to stick to a predominantly gluten-free, dairy-free, low FODMAP-ish thing as much as possible without being super OCD about it, because that's just how it's going to roll, and I want to roll with it a bit as well and not feel like I can't eat anything and everyone else can eat all the things. So if you can avoid those biggest triggers, which gluten and dairy predominantly are them. I know it's cliche, I know everyone's cutting them, whatever. I don't think everyone needs to cut them, but they are usually some of the bigger triggers. For some people, they will know that garlic and onion or stone fruits are massive triggers. So if you know what those ones are, maybe really try hard to avoid them. Otherwise, focus on the proteins. Focus on the proteins and the fats. So for me, that, if I was going to a grazing platter board thing, I would avoid the things with gluten, and then I would sort of go for a little bit more of the nuts or the bits of meats, or maybe a little bit of cheese if I was someone who could handle dairy, rather than snacking on chips or things that are going to have no nutritional value, and I'll just snack on them all day because I won't ever get full. The other thing is coming in with the mindset, because just to step back to that again, when you focus on that, when you focus on fats and proteins, you get fuller faster, which means you're less likely to graze and overeat, but also eat fermentable foods that are going to cause issues. So that would be one way of approaching it. But then also your high fiber foods, like if there's, carrots and hummus on there, or those things, which can be easy to snack on as well. or coming in not super hungry. There's nothing worse for me than going to a friend's house when I'm starving and there's just a cheese platter board and I'm like, cool, I'm just going to eat a whole block of cheese and a heap of crackers and probably just feel pretty terrible, as opposed to sort of going, I can eat and I'll snack and I'll have a little bit, but I'm not here to satisfy my actual appetite. So those things can be really beneficial. Prepping something you can take along that you really tolerate or really like or enjoy as well. Avoiding big, like I said, like big things of raw veggies, like a little bit of carrots and celery and stuff is fine, but massive salads as well can be quite triggering for people because of the amount of fiber in them. So your fats and your proteins are usually a little bit of your safest choice as well, especially for those blood sugar levels too. Also, take your digestive enzymes, like take your Asparagus before you go, or pop some of your digestive enzymes in your handbag. We chat about this in the root cause program the other day, actually, about digestive strategies. And this is also in the 6 days, 6 ways to heal your gut. So my gut health solution course, which you can grab on my website, in the link in my bio and Instagram. And basically I take you through the 6 steps or the 6 ways to heal your gut, heal your digestion, support those prebiotics, probiotics in that rebuilding phase, digestive strategies. So we had a couple live calls that chatted through different areas, touched on macros a bit, SIBO testing, all those kinds of things. It's an awesome course. I love it. I've put a lot of work, a lot of value into it. It's got a heap of bonus modules on hormone testing, hormone support, emotional eating, all those other bits and pieces. But the core of it is gut health solutions. There are 6 core modules which take you through how to rebuild, repair, and treat your gut microbiome. So it's really well done. I'm really proud of it, and you can definitely grab it still. You get lifetime access to it. So as I update it, as I run it live again, you'll just keep getting more and more content to it. So it's a win-win-win. What's that girl math thing? Basically, by the time I'm done with it in a couple years, you guys sort of paid it off yourself for your $27. You'll be done. I love me a bit of girl math. So bloating strategies, apple cider vinegar, digestive enzymes, HCl, they can be really, really beneficial. By Iberogast, if you can't get Iberogast, some chemists now have one called IBS support drops, which is really awesome as well, and will just help support that bile production. The other thing is overeating. So is overeating something you were doing consistently? So sometimes women come to me and they're like, I feel terrible. I don't know if I'm fat. I don't know if I'm bloated. I don't know if I'm overeating. So I think it's really important to identify those different things. Bloating is a feeling, okay? As in, like, there is a tightness in your waist. It's uncomfortable to have your pants on. This is different than if you have put on body fat and your pants don't fit. This is an actual tightness in there, okay? It's not always pain, but it is uncomfortable, and you can look pregnant and it's not enjoyable. If you just get this after one big meal, it's probably because you've overeaten, not so much that you're bloated, because the women who I'm working with are getting this bloating when they wake up, when they go to bed, if they've eaten, if they haven't eaten. It's irregular, but it's constant. So it comes up and down all the time. It's not just after they go and eat a massive serving of something. So make sure you identify that in your head first as well and go, oh, you know what? I really overate at Christmas lunch. I'm full, I'm exhausted, I'm in a food coma. I feel terrible, but it is actually going to pass. If it's constant bloating that's coming and going, you can't pick it, go get some testing done. It's probably SIBO. You've probably just got a heap of bacteria in there that we need to knock off, rebuild, repair that microbiome, and actually start to create a healthy digestive function. That is very, very different, okay? Now, it also depends as to how much carbs you're eating. So carbs hold more water, there's more fiber. Sometimes it's just too much of a fiber thing. Some people don't break down proteins well. They don't like eating meats. It's, you know, if they eat a massive thing of chicken breast, they'll feel really heavy and lethargic because they're not secreting enough of the enzymes to break down the protein properly either. So it's important to take note, pay attention when you eat, pay attention when you eat out, pay attention what different supplements you do, track it. Pop it in your notes app, pop it in the Monash University app, pop it in I actually use our period tracker, Kindara, for like everything. Loose stools, constipation, bloating, acne, psoriasis. I just chuck it in there. To be fair, I'm not getting bad gut symptoms. Like if I get a bit of constipation, diarrhea, it's easy for me to track because it's unusual and something's caused it or triggered it, or I'm unwell or something. So it's quite easy. If it's constant every day or there's painful things around it, like really painful bloating and stuff, then you probably want to be a little bit more in depth and start to track what foods are causing this as well. It is important to think about the root cause of this stuff. So is it low stomach acid? Is it stress? Is there something in your diet that's causing this? Is it SIBO? Is it yeast? Like, is it the fermented stuff that's giving you a lot of symptoms? If you don't know what's going on, that's a really key element to do your stool testing, do your SIBO breath testing and start to understand. But otherwise, like I said, 80-20 when it comes to these infections. A night or two out is not going to undo all your hard work, but days of missing your supplements, like if there's a couple days consecutively in a row that you're just not taking your supplements, it's going to start to impact stuff. Treat your antimicrobials like antibiotics in that sense. So you need to be taking them consistently for them to do their work properly. It's the same with your hormone herbal supplements. Take them consistently to let them do the work properly. It's the same with your diet. Follow it consistently to allow it to do the work properly and to rebuild and restore that gut microbiome as well. Or to not feed those yeast infections, because say yeast or parasites, if you're going to continue feeding them, even if you're throwing a heap of herbs at it, you may still get symptoms and you may still get regular flare-ups, okay? So you need to try to remove that food source, go in and treat them, and then work on rebuilding and restoring that gut lining. So everything in moderation, of course. 80-20 rule, it's not a myth. That is what I tell the women inside the Root Cause program. And I do think it's really important, and I do think it does work and play a role. So if that's you this festive season, please enjoy your festive season. Please enjoy your time out and about. But also take the digestive supports, do the asparagus. If you get constipated, add a bit of magnesium citrate in or a bit of cascara. Keep yourself pooing. That is paramount to everything. If you're getting loose stools, take some Saccharomyces boulardii. So it's a really, really important process and way to do this stuff, just because you don't want to flare up your gut. You don't want to be in a full gut flare over Christmas and New Year, but at the same time, you don't want to miss out. So hope that was helpful. You can assess your gut health in 3 minutes following the links in my Instagram profile or on this podcast. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Sheradyn_functional nutrition. I am funny. Please follow me. No, I do have a good laugh on there. I'm pretty sarcastic, but anyway, that's what I'm there for. You can jump in my private Facebook group, Gut Health Solutions, if you want more tips, tricks, recipes, and support. And otherwise, jump on my website or flick me a DM because I love hearing from you, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Empowered Hormone Podcast. If you know a female who needs some empowerment, please forward, repost, tag or share, and let's get women talking.